I don't know about you guys, but I am exhausted. I don't know if you knew. And apparently dying. You guys know that's the direction I was going to go with that one. Trying to throw you guys a little curveball here on this lovely Friday. Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, a sports ethos presentation. The trade deadline is in the rearview mirror. We made it. Slight technical difficulties, but we made it. And a lot of our hard work paid off nicely. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you guys agree? How long ago? What was it? 2-ish weeks ago, we said it's time. Get on Mark Williams right now. And then at the beginning of this week, what did I say about Utah? I said, hover your mouse over Colin Sexton's name. He's a guy that could jump into a lot. And darn it if they weren't the two best pickups out of yesterday. Although Sexton, I guess, was Wednesday. Now, there were a few that didn't pan out. It doesn't look like Tari Eason's panning out. I am, for whatever it's worth, still going to hold for a little bit, see what they do post-All-Star break here. But, I get it if you don't. But look, here's the thing. I've got a laundry list of names. The names, it's an absurd length. So we got to just get rolling on this thing. Let's tackle a damn podcast. Welcome to the show once again, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here. Whether you're viewing the show live or after the fact, this is, of course, Fantasy NBA Today. I am Dan Bespris. I am at Dan Bespris on Twitter, and I am at Dan Bespris in real life as well. DanBesbris. Week in review show. Let's just dive right on in. I know it's what you guys came for, right? So let's go straight to the ads. We'll begin there. Our friends on YouTube have this delightful little graphic on their screen so they can see the names that I'm going to talk about. As I talk about them, everybody else, you're just going to have to keep them in your head. They are not in any particular order. It is the order that I looked at all the teams' names as I was scrolling backwards through the week. Ad number 1, Bruce Brown, who, I should preface this, by the way. I included some of the streamery ads in the overall discussion because I wanted to get them lumped in there as kind of slightly more relevant, but I will make sure to notate that as I speak to you guys about them. Bruce Brown, he's more of a stream, but we did hear that Jamal Murray is out through the All-Star break, so that gives Brown at least, what do they have, 3 games between now and the break? Might be more than that. Gives Brown at least 3 games, possibly more, based on how little I'm paying attention to the Nuggets' exact schedule early here on this Friday morning. But we know what he does when someone's out. We just happen to know that someone's out for Denver for more than 1 day. Onyeka Okongwu, he has carved himself out a really nice role as obviously the backup center behind Clint Capella, but he's actually hitting value now. Even as a backup, he's hitting value. Earlier this year, it wasn't turning out that way, but over the last month, he's playing, well, there was a few games in there where Capella was still out, but Okongwu was actually inside the top 50 over that stretch in 25 minutes per ball game. And if you want to go to kind of a shorter streak on this thing and say, okay, well, how long, what about since Capella's been back? Okongwu's top 65 in 20 minutes per game. 10 points, almost 8 rebounds, half a steal, almost 1.5 blocks, 71% from the field, 83 at the free throw line. He's been terrific. He's, a number 2 center on your fantasy team, and he doesn't even need to start to get there right now. Sweet. So he's a rest of season ad. Daniel Gafford is the next name on the list. I think he's also a rest of season ad. If you want to look at the same kind of stretch of last 2 weeks, Gafford's number 38. Take that, Okongwu. Now, there is the Kyle Kuzma injury looming over Daniel Gafford right now. I don't know if he continues to get 28 to 30 minutes when Kuzma comes back. Presumably, the Wizards will slide Porzingis back up to center from time to time. It'll be KP and Kuz out there as the front court, and Gafford will probably lose a couple of minutes. But as it stands right now, that's top 40 for Gafford in 28 minutes per ball game. We've said it before. We only need 25 out of him to reliably get inside the top 100. He's blocking a ton of shots right now. That Quantity's probably not going to hold. He's at 2.6 blocks over his last 2 weeks. But Gafford in 25 minutes or more is a rest of season play. Mark freaking Williams, the ad of the millennium. No, I mean, here's the thing. Let's just play the same game with Mark Williams that we've been playing with these other guys. Mark Williams is number, over the last 2 weeks, 142. But that's in 14 and a half minutes per game. His fantasy profile is almost the exact same as what we just talked about for Daniel Gafford. But I would argue probably a better opportunity at rebounds simply because of the team he's on. With Gafford, he's going to be fighting with Porzingis for rebounds. He's going to be fighting with Kuzma for rebounds. He's going to be fighting with Denny Avdia for rebounds when that team is fully healthy. When the Hornets are healthy, Mark Williams is going to be, I'm going to put the word fighting in very thick quotation marks, PJ Washington. LaMelo Ball? Question mark? I'm Ron Burgundy? He's not really fighting with anybody. Mark Williams, we've seen it. Like, the numbers are crazy. In 14 and a half minutes per game, he's already at 5 rebounds. So if you wanted me to scroll all the way back up to where I found Daniel Gafford on this board, he was at 8 rebounds in 27 minutes. If Mark Williams happens to get to 27 minutes, he's probably looking at 10 or more. Because that team is freaking magic. They play like 200 possessions per ball game. We've also seen that Williams is good at both steals and blocks. And honestly, it does remind me a little bit of Okongwu in that he's not an awful foul shooter. He's not going to be as good as Okongwu is. He'll probably be more in the Gafford range. But all of these guys can shoot close to 70%. Okongwu at 7 and some odd rebounds in 20 minutes per ball game here. That's almost exactly what Williams would be doing. Mark Williams will be a walking double-double with possibly a steal and possibly 1.5 to 2 blocks per game. Even with Nick Richards likely picking up close to half the minutes. I think this is probably going to be like a 26-22 split. If I had to guess, you'll see Williams probably play but somewhere between 6 and 7 minutes in each quarter. And so then you get, somewhere between 5 and 6 for Nick Richards. And that grades out basically to 26-22 split. 26 minutes for Mark Williams is way more than enough. If he's at 14 now and he's going for 6 and 5 with, what did I just say, defensive stats? 0.7 steals and 1.5 blocks. You're not going to just double that. That's not how it works. Guys plateau, and if he's playing against starters, the stats won't be quite as easy to come by. But again, we're talking about a guy that could legitimately get 3 combined defensive stats in 26 or more minutes per ball game. A guy that could get you 12 and 10 with a steal and almost 2 blocks. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. It's not a guarantee, but fantasy value pretty much is. Arguably the biggest winner of the trade deadline and a guy that we've been sitting on for a couple of weeks. It's one of the rare occasions, actually, where a trade deadline stash does pan out. That doesn't always work. Did this year. In a big way. Denny Avdia is the next name on the ads list. I'm still not convinced that one sticks once Kuzma's back, but, roll for now. So, it's a possible stream with upside on Avdia. Killian Hayes is the next name on the list of the ads. He's been slotted back into the starting lineup for the Pistons, as we figured he would. I thought it would be right after the All-Star or the trade deadline. It happened right before the trade deadline, and Alec Burks can go back to doing not much. Killian Hayes, by the way, let's all understand here, the upside is not that great. Upside is top 100. Likelihood is more like 125. Matisse Thybulle, not to be dealt with in points leagues. He does not score. He does not rebound. He does not pass. He does not shoot threes. He does not shoot free throws, which of course means he does not turn the ball over. But what he does do, he does very well, and that's get a crap ton of defensive stats. And he's now in Portland on a team that needs a guy to play a ton of defense. Here's my fear with Thybulle. If there's a game where the Blazers say, are not getting great offense out of Dame, or maybe Anthony Simons is having an off night or something like that, do they then go to Cam Reddish at that small forward spot? I think it's much more likely that Thibul's the guy. This was the one they wanted at the deadline. This was the guy they tried to go get. The Cam Reddish trade came with a first rounder. The Knicks sent a first for Josh Hart and Cam Reddish. So it felt a little bit more like a salary dump. I think he'll get an opportunity, Cam will, to do a little bit with the Blazers, but he's not the guy that they were targeting in trades, which is so funny. We heard all those rumors like, oh, Lakers are interested in Cam Reddish, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, Cam Reddish's agent. We hear you loud and clear. Got to get a trade market. He's a gunner, and he's only an okay one. So teams were not about to overspend on Reddish, and this is where he goes. But Thybulle, Blazers wanted him. They gave up some stuff. Not a ton, but some. I put Derek White in the ads board, mostly because this is a weekend review podcast, but he should have long since been added. He should have been added back since Marcus Smart got hurt. But now that Jaylen Brown went down, that's just more for everybody else. Jaylen Brown out through the All-Star break with a facial fracture. I'm not big into the Sam Hauser thing. I didn't even put him on the watch list here. Hauser should probably have been on the watch list. You know what? I'll do it. Everybody on watching live can see me type it as I say it to you guys on the podcast. There you go. Sam Hauser's on the watch list now. But Derek White has just been smoking people on, ads department here, and you could just ride him until the Celtics get healthy, and there were stretches where he had value even when they were healthy. Zach Collins, probably the third most interesting trade deadline pickup. I'm still not convinced that he gets more than about 26 minutes per ball game, but unlike Mark Williams, 26 minutes for Collins would not be enough. We've seen it time and time and time again. Zach Collins simply doesn't have the fantasy profile to support rostership when he doesn't have full starters minutes. You guys can yell at me all you want. Somebody tweeted at me, oh, he had a game where he had 19 and 11 and only 21 minutes. Uh-huh. And how many times precisely did he do that? One time? Okay. If you guys want to argue with me about small sample size theater, we got all day, man. We got all day. But here's the thing. We've seen Zach Collins. We know he's not a robust fantasy player. However, if the Spurs do then suddenly now give him full starters minutes, which I still don't think is a guarantee. They've got Isaiah Roby. They've got Bassey down in the G League. There's other things they might do, especially while they're tanking. If they give him full starters, if he somehow averages 30 minutes a game the rest of the way, he probably gets to top 90. In which case, he would be an ad. I think there's about a 20% chance that Collins hits that marker. I think there's more like a 50% chance, maybe even a little higher than that he does get to the 125 range the rest of the year. But that to me puts him more in a streamer zone just because of stat set stuff. KJ Martin, he's a little bit more points league friendly than traditional roto, and the last few weeks are a pretty good example of that. Number 85 over the last 2 weeks, while averaging 14 and 8 with half a steal, half a block, and 63% shooting, which is a number we know isn't going to hold. He'll be in probably the 50s. I don't think he's going to score this much when Kevin Porter Jr. is back. They did get rid of Eric Gordon, so Martin is probably the starter the rest of the way. And if you need the kind of more volume-y stuff he does, then it makes sense. But Roto doesn't steal or block very much. Some points, some rebounds, decent field goal percent, bad free throw. So just a few too many holes on the 9-cat side. Colin Sexton, mega ad. Mega. I don't think you guys need an explanation on this one, but I'll give you one anyway. The Jazz traded away Mike Conley. The Jazz traded away Malik Beasley. The Jazz traded away Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The Jazz brought on a point guard that they are subsequently waiving, most likely, in Russell Westbrook. 3 guards out. If you want to call Beasley a wing, I'm fine with that, but I'm calling him a shooting guard. 3 guards out, 0 guards in for the Jazz. Colin Sexton, hello. this is your team kind of now. Now, Larry Markkinen, Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, those guys are going to be taking every shot for the foreseeable future. And at that volume, you kind of have no choice. And I threw Herb Jones actually on the ads board. He may be a Zion streamer, but he finally looks, frankly, healthy to me, which, I hadn't really seen before. He's sitting just outside the top 100 over the last 2 weeks on 2.9 combined defensive stats. That's probably about what you could expect. Specialisty. He's a lot like Matisse Thybulle, actually, in that regard. Probably scores a little bit better than Matisse. But also turns the ball over a little bit more. And so there's, this little trade-off there. You've got a couple of choices, basically, if you're just full hunting steals and drops. Or steals and blocks, excuse me. I said steals and drops because I'm looking at the next set of our columns here. Drops is the next on the board. Royce O'Neal is a drop. I think there are too many wings in Brooklyn, and his fantasy game required that he basically play 34 minutes a ball game, which is not guaranteed. I watched Ben Simmons play yesterday. He looked awful. I put him on my drops board because he looked awful. If you are punting points or free throw percent, you can still stick with it, although, we saw it in yesterday's ball game. Now that the Nets have all these wings and have depth, they might not play Ben Simmons. I kind of thought they would have to if KD was still there and they brought in Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. I think they probably would have needed Simmons. Now I don't know that they do. They can go a different way, really. They can lean into their depth. Simmons only played, 20 minutes in yesterday's ball game, and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson weren't even there yet. Sorry, they were there, but they weren't suited up. So Simmons, to me, might be a drop. Jalen McDaniels is a drop in Philadelphia. He'll have a nice little, role player roll off the bench, and he'll have fun because he's on a winning team now, but he's not going to get anywhere near what we were hoping he was going to get, provided the Hornets trade someone besides Plumlee, but they didn't. Leave it to the Hornets. One of the worst trade deadlines, I thought. Charlotte got a second rounder, 1 second rounder. Everybody gets 5, and Charlotte got 1. Sadiq Bey is a drop. He's in Atlanta now, and he's buried behind DeAndre Hunter and John Collins. Anyway, he ain't going to get the shots he was getting in Detroit. Josh Richardson is a drop. Maybe he gets some streamer value here and there, but he was starting and kind of running the Spurs tank. He's not going to do that in New Orleans. Richardson drop. Eric Gordon, I don't know if you had him on your team. You probably didn't, but he's a drop if you did, because he's in Clipper Town now, and he too is buried behind copious Clipper depth. Not to be confused with Clipper Darrell. Xavier Tillman, Brandon Clark are on my drops board because they've slid into a timeshare. Now, if Clark suddenly starts getting 24-ish minutes per ball game consistently, I would put him back on the ads board, but it seems like Tillman's getting high 20s, Clark is getting around 20, and that's like just the point at which neither one of them does quite enough to be fantasy relevant. All right, we got to pick up the speed a little bit here because I still got to do the weekend preview at the end. Holds. I feel like I need to do a lightning round explanation on each of these guys. Hold number 1, Cam Thomas. He's not going to do as much as he did when he was getting 40 in every ball game, but we should at least see this thing through. Cam Johnson. I really do want to know what the Nets' plan is for him. They got 2 solid NBA players back from Phoenix in that Kevin Durant played, in addition to all the first-round picks. Cam Johnson is, in my estimation, just kind of too good to be fully buried on that club, but it's also not a guarantee that he gets the 30 starters minutes he was going to get in Phoenix. So there's a possibility that he falls off, but I think we got to give it at least a week, probably 2, which now with the All-Star break actually kind of means 3, just to see what are they going to do. Cam Thomas, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Nick Claxton. Those 4 guys are seemingly guaranteed pretty close to starters minutes, which, what do you call that? 30? Call it 30 apiece, 32 apiece if you want to get wacky. That's 160 minutes out of 240. Is that right? 48 times 5? But that still leaves 80 minutes. So where those go, you've got Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, you got Cam Johnson, you've got other guys floating around, Joe Harris, Seth Curry. I don't know how much those guys are going to do going forward. Ben Simmons. Question is, can Cam Johnson carve out like 26 to 30 of those remaining 80 minutes? And the answer is I don't know. Call it a coin flip, but that's enough for me to hang on. Mikal Bridges is a hold. I don't even know why I put him on this board, but someone was like, what should I do? Should I be worried? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's really, really good. To me, he's a guy who's going to see playing time. The fear is that perhaps his efficiency takes a hit because he's not playing next to superstars anymore. And we saw that mid-season here when Booker and Chris Paul were both out for the Suns, and it wasn't great, honestly, but his teammates in Brooklyn now are better than the teammates he had in Phoenix when the stars were out. It's a deeper team. Jalen Duren is a hold. We heard that the Pistons may want to start James Wiseman. I'll believe that long-term when I see it. Wiseman's shown himself to be quite bad at basketball in Golden State. He can score a little bit, but his defense is disgusting. Would they really derail the progress of their prized first-round pick to kick the tires on Wiseman? We've seen what happened to Marvin Bagley. Whatever. Anyway, hold Duren. Hold DeAnthony Melton. I know they brought in McDaniels. I don't think those guys are going to have a ton of overlap, and Melton's been able to hold his spot. He's been one of their better players, typically. Hold Precious Achiuwa. I think he may fade here with Jakob Poeltl coming in and no one really going out for the Raptors. So once OG Anunoby's back, presumably, that might end up hurting Gary Trent, too, by the way. Because Achiuwa may be going to the bench right now to clear a room out for Poeltl. And then when OG comes back, does he push Trent? Maybe. Gary Trent's played a lot better since they moved him back into the starting lineup, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, hold Achiuwa for now. I do think he probably ends up being a drop in the next few weeks, but I don't think I would pre-drop. Hold Tari Eason. He didn't get the guys out of his way that we were hoping for. Gordon get traded, but we were hoping that a forward would get moved for the Rockets, and they didn't. In addition, well, depends what you call Garrison Matthews, I guess. Either way, they brought back a Holiday. It was Justin. So Eason's minutes may not change, and if that's the case, then it will just be slightly too low for this year the rest of the way. Hold Kyle Anderson. He's been hurt, but Minnesota kind of goes as he goes. So as soon as he's ready to play, they'll get him back in there. Hold Kelly Olynyk. I got some people asking me if they should add him, and I said, dude, you guys should have added him a week ago. He was top 80 as a full-time starter this year. The only times he's fallen off is when he's been playing hurt or when he's been on a minutes cap or in foul trouble. And Utah got thinner at the trade deadline. Terrific. Jared Vanderbilt's gone. That was competition in the front court. They really didn't bring in anybody that can challenge Olynyk. The only thing that will challenge Olynyk is whether or not the team wants to try to lose ball games. And frankly, it kind of seems like it's too late. Norman Powell's a hold. He's kind of become the Clippers' best closer, weirdly enough. Watching some of those Clippers games, seeing Paul George and Kawhi kind of, look, those two guys are still very good at basketball, but they've definitely gotten slower over the last 2 years. And Powell hasn't. Dante DiVincenzo's a hold for me for now. The Warriors are bringing in wings, and so I feel like he's probably going to taper off, but give it a couple games. Drew Eubanks is a hold. He has not looked all that great as the starting center in Portland, but, you're getting that back-end center stuff, so he's a stream hold for now. Josh Hart is a hold. He's going to be such a Tibbs guy. If he's particularly horrible on a given night, you might see them get Grimes back in there a bit more, but the Knicks are trying to win. They want the veteran. He and Jalen Brunson go way back to college. Hart's going to play. I'll also hold Emmanuel Quickly, although that one might end up becoming a drop. And hold Trey Murphy out in New Orleans town. Not that anybody really needed to be told that one, but I'm doing it anyway. And here's my watch list with freshly added Sam Hauser at the bottom. Jared Vanderbilt is on my watch list. I don't think he's going to get enough playing time every night in LA. I think there'll be games where they realize they need the rebounding more. They'll get him in there. There'll be games where they want scoring more. You'll see more Rui Hachimura in those ball games. There'll be ones where they can go smaller and spread the floor. You'll see more Malik Beasley and Lonnie Walker in those. The Lakers have optionality. Stupid word. But they have it, and unfortunately that means that consistent fantasy production for some of the guys involved in all of those combinations and permutations is not going to be all that great. James Wiseman is on my watch list. If Detroit actually starts him, I might pick him up in some head-to-head spots where you may be punting something like a free throw percent. I don't trust him in Roto as far as I can flick a pebble. Gabe Vincent is on the watch list. He's looked good. He's looked better than Kyle Lowry, who's looked old and dinged up lately. They've now shut Lowry down for a little bit, which they probably should have done before. They played Kyle way too much at the beginning of the year, and now his knees are on ice, basically. But Vincent, it's tough. I don't know that he's going to get enough usage night to night. If we find out that Jimmy Butler or Tyler Hero is going to sit out a ball game, that's where I make my move on Vincent. Jaylen Noel is watch list fodder. I think once Minnesota gets Mike Conley in, I don't think that Noel will have the room to operate, but I guess you never know, so just keep an eye on him. Same story for Josh Green, who's looked quite good over the last, 3-4 ball games with no Luka. But Luka's expected to be back, I believe. I think he's got upgraded to questionable for Dallas's next ball game. We may get our first Luka and Kyrie extravaganza. And there just ain't going to be anything else for anyone to do on that team. Even Christian Wood, I think, is going to find it hard at times to collect usage, but I do think he'll get enough Wood, that is, not so much Josh Green. Shaedon Sharpe in Portland has got to keep an eye on in case he passes up Reddish and Thibault at that small forward spot. I don't expect it, but again, anything is possible. Cam Reddish is on the watch list as well. Larry Nance Jr. is on the watch list. It feels like he and Valanciunas are locked in a timeshare, and that means not enough for anybody. Jalen Williams, which I imagine you guys all heard me pronounce it differently just to put an accent. I'm going to start referring to the two Williamses. There are three, actually, in Oklahoma City, but the third one is Kenrich. The two Jalen Williamses I will refer to as Jalen Williams and Jalen Williams. You will hear it in how I pronounce it, even if that's not what they want. But I don't feel like spelling a player's name every time I talk about them on the podcast. In any event, this is Jalen Williams I'm talking about. Could he step into center minutes? Mike Muscala got traded. He's been starting as the de facto power forward. Kenrich Williams has been kind of starting at center, but, anything that clears things out. They brought in Dario Saric. He's not on my watch list. More so, the wonder with Saric is, does he then just step exactly into Muscala's minutes? And if so, then, you can push some of these guys back off your watch list. Well, we did that part in 26-ish minutes or so, something like that. Let's jump straight ahead into a weekend preview. Everybody that's watching this on YouTube is going to watch me close the screen that was showing you all the names I was talking about. And now, instead, we will tell you, oh my good Lord, there's a lot of games tonight. I didn't even realize that until I looked at it. This is, one thing at a time for your pal Danny Boy here. This is your weekend look-ahead portion of the proceedings. Phoenix. Ooh, do we get Kevin Durant tonight? Oh my goodness. If we do, that's really exciting. I hope we do. I hadn't heard if everybody's passed the physical from that one. I know that the Phoenix guys were in Brooklyn for that game, so KD's likely there and waiting. Oh, man, that would be so crazy. I'm going to watch that because it's going to be awesome. Indiana catching 2 points. If indeed this is a Kevin Durant, it's only a 2-point spread. That makes me feel like maybe KD's not ready to go yet, but I guess we'll see. Luka Doncic, by the way, while I was talking about 20 minutes ago, said he was still feeling pain, so perhaps we don't get the first Luka and Kyrie extravaganza. We also just found out that apparently Russell Westbrook is likely to be headed to either the Bulls or the Heat. Yikes. Good luck. I would do it if I'm the Bulls, because they're in purgatory right now. Just do something crazy. The Heat are in sort of purgatory, but you bring Russ in there to play with Jimmy Butler, those two guys might kill each other. I don't get the feeling that anybody on the Bulls feels strongly enough to care. Maybe that's not fair, but that's just the feeling I get watching that team play. They've got, we don't care that much body language, like 2 out of every 3 ball games. The Bulls do. Only a 2-point spread, so maybe we don't get Kevin Durant for that one. Ah, well. so it goes. Indiana, nothing really. The Knicks, do we get Josh Hart's debut? I mean, this is going to be the look ahead for all of these things. Do we get player debuts? What does it mean for Hart? What does it mean for Grimes? What does it mean for Quickly? Hartenstein and Jericho Sims are still kind of on the board. This is in a Joel Embiid game. If he plays, questionable for every ball game right now. He might just plow through every center on the Knicks roster. We shall see. For Philly, I don't believe Jalen McDaniels is ready to go yet, so nothing to pay attention to there. For the Spurs, the removal of Josh Richardson is notable. I think Trey Jones, we get an update on him earlier this morning. Yeah, he's out. He was questionable coming into today. He and Jeremy Sohan and Romeo Langford and Keldon Johnson are all sitting. So the Spurs are in full tank mode today. Malachi Branham is going to take 30 shots. Devontae Graham, if he's active, I think he is actually, he might get 25 shots. I mean, this is the full San Antonio one-night stand situation. Branham's a great one-night stand. Zach Collins, who, I mean, he should get enough in this one, although I guess the other center, Isaiah Roby, is actually active. But if you can get your hands on Branham for one ball game, go nuts, man. Get wild. Detroit. They shipped out Sadiq Bey. I'm actually kind of interested to see where his shots go. Hey, Bojan Bogdanovic, you can just ride him to the finish line. Utah, we already kind of saw them without any of their guys, and no one's coming in for the Jazz. So, hello, Colin Sexton City. Toronto, I don't believe Pirtle's there yet. We'll find out later on, but obviously when he gets there, we're very interested in his debut. I imagine he'll get minutes like he was getting in San Antonio on a team that wants to win. Charlotte, no Jalen McDaniels, but he was coming off the bench anyway, so I don't think it changes things all that much. Obviously, the big story there is Mark Williams and Nick Richards and how the minute split goes down. Is Steve Clifford going to do the same crap he was doing where it's like Mark Williams for 3 games and then Richards for the other? Or, there may be some Nick Richards games the rest of the way. Don't write him off completely. Boston, nothing really. It just comes down to health there. Houston, they traded Eric Gordon. Kevin Porter Jr., I don't believe back yet. Sounds like he's probably out through the All-Star break, but we'll see. So what does that mean? Do we get like 2 extra minutes of Tari Eason? Maybe. It's usage at the very least. We know KJ Martin is going to be in there. We know it's going to be more shots. Like Jalen Green needed more shots, but he'll get him. Jabari Smith Jr. should get a couple more. Alperen Şengün should do a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera. Miami, if Russell Westbrook ends up in Miami, that really changes things, but not a whole lot to pay attention to right now besides Gabe Vincent. Minnesota, I think they'll have their new guy because that trade went down on Wednesday, so presumably we'll see Mike Conley make his debut this evening. That'll be kind of fun. Memphis will not have their new guys. Luke Kennard from the Clippers on his way in. Shouldn't make much of an impact there, but you can pay attention to the Brandon Clark, Xavier Tillman stuff. Cleveland, nothing. Pelicans, not much. Josh Richardson eventually will play, but he'll be, more fringy. Trey Murphy, Herb Jones. How do these guys hold up? Again, this would be a better defense, so we'll see if that makes any difference there against Cleveland. OKC, we just talked about Jalen Williams. Portland, that trade went down late on Wednesday night, so we might... No, sorry, Hart went out on Wednesday night. Matisse Thybulle got traded yesterday, so he probably won't be there yet. Cam Reddish might, which is going to give us kind of back-asswards information on what to do with Portland, because we won't actually see the guy that I presume they kind of wanted at the deadline. But anyway, something to put down in the data bucket. Dallas, if there is no Luka, which it's sounding more and more like he will not play, you probably get another decent game out of Josh Green, at the very least. You might still get another game out of Tim Hardaway Jr. or Reggie Bullock, but I don't know. Feels like a lot of work. I always think of Stifler, Sean William Scott in American Pie, when Chris Klein is explaining to him to have a relationship with a female, you need to listen to them, and he says, I don't know, man, that sounds like a lot of work. That's how I feel about do I want to bother with Reggie Bullock for one game? I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of work. For what's the payoff? In this case, meh. Sacramento did nothing at the deadline. Nothing to watch there. Milwaukee, they shipped out some stuff, but really just sort of clearing out more room. Chris Middleton likely, by the way, to rest on the back-to-back, so you probably get a better game out of a guy like a Grayson Allen. Pat Connaughton's been filling in a little bit for Bobby Portis these days, so kind of the usual stuff there. Clippers likely will not have their acquisitions from yesterday, but I don't think those guys do much besides Mason Plumlee putting a dent into Ivica Zubats. If anything, the Clippers decreased the number of useful fantasy players they're going to have the rest of the way. Let's see. We got a couple of players left. Oh, come on, Basketball Monster. I wasn't idle for that long. Here we go. Saturday, we talked about Philly. Brooklyn, they'll have their guys by tomorrow, and then we'll start to get some real data on the Nets. Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, Dorian Finney-Smith, Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons, all the wings. We want to know what's going on there. Denver, no Jamal Murray to the deadline, so it should be just some Bruce Brown. That'll be the long and short of that one. Charlotte, we talked about. Indy, we talked about. Washington, if Kuzma gets back, that's what I want to know. I want to know what Washington looks like when Kuzma comes back, because right now I'm extremely bullish on Daniel Gafford, and Kuz is the only thing that could knock me off that horse. Miami, we talked about. Orlando got rid of Mo Bamba, brought in Pat Beverly, who they are waiving. I think, if anything, this just creates a little bit more space for Mo Wagner. I don't know that he gets anywhere near 12 teamers, but he does probably press up on like 16, 18 team leagues. Utah, we talked about. Knicks, we talked about. Spurs, they won't be zombie Spurs by tomorrow. Presumably Keldon Johnson will be back. Maybe they get Jones and Sohan back on the second half of the back-to-back. We'll see. I don't know if I can say the word B-A-C-K anymore in one sentence without my brain exploding. Atlanta's getting Sadiq Bey. I think, if anything, he just kind of knocks out guys like Hunter, probably sticks a little bit into John Conley. You know, there's just like someone that can come take from those guys that they didn't have before, a professional level NBA player. Chicago, meh. Cleveland, we talked about. Lakers, we'll see all the new Lakers on Saturday. Really excited to see how those guys look. There's going to be an adjustment period, which is tough because the Lakers pretty much need to win every game the rest of the way. But D'Lo will probably take a hit, almost no question. He won't be able to do as much alongside LeBron and AD as he did alongside just Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. There was really only one alpha on the Wolves since Cat's been out, and there are two on LA. You know, it's fuzzy math, but it's probably accurate. I'd also like to see how the Lakers deploy some of their new toys in this one. The Warriors tend to go small and kind of spread you out a little bit. Do the Lakers go with a kind of we can outshoot you attack? Do they throw a Jared Vanderbilt in there to try to beat up the smaller Warriors on the glass a little bit? Yeah, one of them can kind of deal with Draymond, and then Anthony Davis can go pick on someone smaller. I don't know. A lot of question marks in LA. That's why all those guys were on our watch list. Warriors, we already talked about DiVincenzo being on the watch list. I think we have a pretty good feel for everything else going on there. Dallas, maybe you get Luka here on the back-to-back. We'll see. Then we'll get more information on the Mavericks. And let's see. Anybody not playing Friday or Saturday? Let's swing on through Sunday, provided the internet continues to work. The internet has decided to stop working in this moment. What the hell, man? Yeah, I want to go to the next day. Did Basketball Monster crash? That's unfortunate. All right, we're going to the NBA schedule page. Hello, Google. This is an ugly way to do it, but damn it, we're going to do it. Only two. Here we go. Only two games on Sunday. So, even if I had never figured it out, the Grizzlies, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Raptors, Memphis, you're pretty much just tracking the centers. And, Pistons, again, I do really want to know what goes on with Sadiq Bey's minutes. And certainly by Sunday, you'll have Jakob Poeltl in there for Toronto. So if we didn't get to see him tonight, we'll see him in that one. Okay, time is short here on this Friday. I'm going to send you off into the weekend. And we can finally, I personally can stop talking for a while. Yesterday, I don't know if you guys know this. Yesterday, not only did I do a 5-hour trade deadline show, but I called 2 Division II college basketball games in the evening. So I broadcasted from 7:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. in the morning. And then I broadcasted from 5:30 to 9:30 at night. And I mostly sat in traffic in between. My voice is tired. I'm actually kind of impressed that I'm speaking adequately right now. All right, to my recorded part listeners, come join us on YouTube next time around. Make sure to subscribe, youtube.com/sportsethos, and continue to ping me if you want to cover a team. That's my recruiting pitch these days. We also will likely have some interesting deals going up next week on all of our premium stuff over at sportsethos.com. At Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter. I am at Dan Vespers on Twitter. I know you guys came to hear Aaron Brewski as well. His kid is sick. Couldn't take him to preschool, so Brew is feeling it. I know that pain. You guys have watched me know that pain for a very long time, and now you guys get to watch some other people know it too. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you first thing on Monday. Reverse chronological lightning round. You know how that rolls. And we'll get some really cool pieces of data, first looks at a lot of players in new places. So long. All right, you crazy YouTubers. I don't know how many of you guys hit thumbs up or subscribe to this thing. I kind of forgot to yell it at you at the beginning of the show, so oops. The answer is not that many. Please take a second here while I'm talking, while I'm sorting the chat room, to like and subscribe. I have exactly 7 minutes to figure out which questions I want to do. And which ones, because a lot of the questions that are up here are things I think I hit on during the show. Like there was a question about Detroit's front court. We talked about Duren, Bagley, and Wiseman. We talked about Cam Johnson and the rest of the Nets wings. Let's see. With all the Spurs out, do you like Devontae Graham? We talked about that one. The answer is kinda. Jeremy Sohan, rest of season. Okay, I didn't talk about Sohan once he actually gets back. He makes a lot more sense in head-to-head than Roto because he has some massive holes in his fantasy game on the 9-cat side that might not kill you if you're in a points league, he's a must-roster guy. No question. If you're in a points league, he's must-roster because he scores, he rebounds, he assists. He doesn't do a lot else. In 26 minutes per game on the year, he's averaging 10, 5, and 2.5 with half a three-pointer on bad field goal, bad free throw, and not many defensive stats. There's a way that he gets up to 1 steal per game. I think he could do that in starters minutes. I think he could get up to like 13, 14 points, maybe 6-ish rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal in starters minutes. But the blocks, the turnovers, the free throw, the threes, the field goal, I think that's all going to be kind of bad for him. So head-to-head side, he could fit some build. If you're punting free throw, I think he makes sense. If you're not super interested in field goal or threes, he makes a ton of sense. Roto, I think it's a tougher sell. That's my feel on Sohan the rest of the year. Let's see. What kind of minutes should we expect with Wiseman and Thibault? I think Thibault plays close to starters minutes in Portland. So, you're looking at a guy to me that could average 2 steals and a block the rest of the way. But the problem, of course, with Matisse is that he might get you 2 steals and a block, and he might literally get you zeros in other categories. Like it could be 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist with 2 steals and a block. You know what you need. This is to each of you, not just to UT. Everybody watching, you know what you need if you're going to consider Thibault. Is Bogdanovic a hold or a drop? He's probably a drop. I don't think he's going to... Sadiq Bey will take... Bogdanovic is specifically the kind of guy in Atlanta where Bey, if he's just out playing him one night, then he'll get more. Whoops. This is the one I wanted to click on. Thoughts on Jordan Clarkson. I didn't know that he could do more, but he's going to have to do more. They sent out 3 guards. Almost done with this stupid cold. Caleb Martin got dropped. Can he keep this production up? No. Who do I pick up since Keldon Johnson is out? Malachi Branham is going to take 35 shots. There isn't a direct Keldon replacement, but Keita Bates-Diop might have an okay ball game if you wanted to look down the board a little bit. I guess the new Lakers are having their interviews right now, which I'm going to have to miss to go pick up my kid. What's with Christian Wood not starting? He'll get back. Once he's healthy, he'll be starting again. Thoughts on Devontae Graham? He's a one-night stream in my eye. There's no way the Spurs are just going to hand the team to Devontae Graham. That'd be brutal. Hey, Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, and Pascal Siakam are the all-star replacements. Fox deserved it. More than Sabonis. You guys can kill me for that. I know that Brew talks about that also. I'm in agreement. I know that Sabonis and his ridiculous rebounding numbers and passing, they sort of jump off the page. The Kings are bad without De'Aaron Fox, and they're still okay without Domantas Sabonis. Fox has been so critical to what they've done this year, just mostly because he closes so well. They win tight ball games because of De'Aaron Fox. This is a DFS question. Elijah, I'm sorry, I'm not a big DFS guy, but what I would say is that who the hell is Utah playing today? Utah, I mean, as if Markkanen needed to do more, he's going to have to do more. They're in Toronto. Yeah, I mean, that'll be a reasonably high-scoring game. So probably, but I don't know much more he can do. Do you think Darius Baisley can be useful in a 16-teamer? No. Also, his fantasy game is super whack. Is McDermott a good pick since Keldon Johnson's out? Yeah, he'll probably get a few shots. Problem with Doug McDermott is that he has the Bojan Bogdanovic fantasy syndrome, which is he might score 18 points today on 3 3-pointers, and he might go 4 for 4 at the free throw line, but he also might get you 1 rebound and 1 assist and 0 defensive stats. Let's see. Would Baisley get steals and blocks was the other half to that. To me, it's not enough to overshadow the damage he does in other stuff. Dan, you going to answer my question, or do I need to give you 5 second-round picks? I don't know if you guys saw my tweet from this morning. I don't think I know how to share it. Can I share an image? It doesn't matter. There's got to be a way. Can I do this quickly? I really need to go. Is it a slide? Here, let's see. Can I add a slide from my computer? No, I can't. You can't just share a JPEG. Extra camera video file, share screen. No, can't be done. Sorry. You guys are going to have to follow me on Twitter. I did a stupid picture I thought people would think was funny. Let's see. Where's my man Brewski? Yeah, sick kid. It'll be okay. It's a cough, probably RSV type deal. Everybody's got it. Was, I think, probably what we had around here. Is Gabe Vincent good for today? Yeah, probably good for today. Gabe Vincent versus Terrence Mann. I'd go Vincent. Who do you prefer between Zach Collins and Cam Johnson? Ooh, that's a tough one. Cam Johnson is the dice roll here. I think I'll go Cam with the understanding that with Johnson, if they play him, he can go top 70. If they don't, he's a drop. Where with Collins, you're almost guaranteed like 115, 125 range. He has the safer floor here. What's Christian Wood's floor and ceiling? Floor is 100. Ceiling is like 30. He probably settles, my guess is in the 60 range. Is John Collins cooked? For 10-teamers, maybe. For 12-teamers, I would hold. I think he actually probably plays better now that the trade deadline's over, even with Sadiq Bey coming in. AD and Booker deserved more than Fox. No, I actually disagree. Anthony Davis has played 32 ball games, and Devin Booker's played 30. It's not enough. It's not even close to enough, honestly. I know there's this big beef about JJJ playing 37, but, you know, Anthony Davis 32 and his team is only okay. Obviously, Booker is very good. The team is much better when he plays, but 30 out of 50, 4? How many games his team had? It's barely more than half. Can't give it to him. Thoughts on Taylor Horton Tucker? That's a good one, actually. I forgot to talk about him. I think he's a points league ad. I don't think he gets there in category leagues. He has a super weird fantasy game. He has he's a guard, but his both percentages aren't good, and he doesn't shoot the three. So I don't really know how you justify adding him. He played 24 minutes in their last ball game, had 15 points and 6 assists, but no threes, no steals. He lucked into a block. I mean, I think there's a world where he gets 24, 25 minutes, and that's probably enough for points leagues for him because he'll have some usage with it. But his 9-cat game is gross. And then James Wiseman, who I think I mentioned earlier in the show, but just in case you missed it, he's on my watch list. He's on my watch list. I don't actually believe that he's going to get a real role in Detroit because he just doesn't look good as an NBA player. Sorry, James Wiseman. All right, I got to go pick up my kid. Sorry I didn't get to do everybody's questions today. I just had to focus on the ones that I thought would kind of apply to everyone. Please do follow on Twitter at Dan Bespris. Like and subscribe. Before you click the window close, before you hit the exit button and go somewhere else, please subscribe and hit the like button on the video. And Monday, we'll have our reverse chronological lightning round here on YouTube. Meant to say that before. Also, Eric Ong over the weekend will have some ads and drops for you here. That'll be the waiver wire show right here on YouTube as well. We always got something going on YouTube these days. Pretty excited about that. Okay. Sorry with Theodore if you're waiting with your teacher. Daddy's coming. Goodbye.